Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa azwajihi wa dhurriyyatihi ajma'in. There are some questions regarding, I've been asked to explain what is, in my view obviously, what is capitalist ethics. So that's the first question. What is capitalist ethics, or what are capitalist ethics? And we claim that Islamic economics legitimizes, knowingly or unknowingly, it doesn't have to be a conscious we have no access to people's heart. Islamic economics legitimizes should be legitimizes, all with that. Islamic economics legitimizes, or is a specific way to legitimize capitalist ethics. So the question with regard to this is, how does it do it? So how does Islamic economics legitimizes capitalist ethics? So these are the questions. So probably so we need to obviously know a few things in order to be able to answer these questions. The first is, what is capitalist ethics? The second is, what is Islamic economics? And the relation it has to capitalism, and probably and how is it different from other mainstream economics. And probably we might also first need to address the question of the relationship between economics and capitalism. And then obviously we need to address the question, how does how probably would include theoretical as well as practical aspects. How does Islamic economics legitimizes capitalist ethics, legitimation of capitalist ethics by Islamic economics? So these are complex and interrelated questions. But we'll try to, at least we'll make an attempt to answer these questions. Primarily to, see what I think about it. So it's primarily to clear about my own thinking, and if it can, provide some insight, I shouldn't say insight, but some clues to others, then that would be even better. Okay, so Bismillah. So to answer the question, what is capitalist ethics, probably we first need to answer the question, what is capitalism? And probably once we know what is capitalism, then we would be able to answer the question, what is capitalist ethics? And ethics for me here probably mean, values, fundamental values of capitalism, I guess, on which capitalism, the foundational values of capitalism, that would be uh, foundational values of capitalism. That would provide some clues about what capitalist ethics are. Okay. Okay, so what is capitalism? So capitalism is a system a complete and closed system where the basic purpose not just of economy but an individual, society, and state is a single one, and that purpose is accumulation for the sake of accumulation. So in the most abstract level, the rationale for capitalism is search for more in order to search for more. Sometimes people call it maximization of profit, but accumulation for the sake of accumulation is the most abstract level of explaining the capitalist system. So the purpose is of the system is accumulation for the sake of that's the purpose. And the mechanism for that is historically either competition between among different individuals or planning. This is the road of liberal capitalism, and this is the road for Marxist and socialist capitalism. But the purpose is accumulation for the sake of accumulation, and the rationale for this is overcoming scarcity. And that's where capitalism is linked to economics. And that's why economics is the foundational discipline or holy book or religion of capitalism. Okay. And the idea that So, what is the idea of scarcity? The idea of scarcity is built on a few interrelated things that are desires and wants. Sometimes they call it indeterminate, but what they really mean is infinite. Our desires are infinite. As Ghalib said, हज़ारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी कि हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले, बहुत निकले मेरे अरमां, लेकिन ये मगर फिर भी कम निकले. So you get the idea. Desires and wants are infinite, but resources are limited. And if we want to satisfy those desires and wants, we need to somehow overcome this limitation. So that is akin to saying that we need to overcome scarcity. So there are two assumptions, and just notice that they're not talking about needs. They're not talking about desires. They're not talking about limiting desires. So fulfilling desire is taken as self-evident that we should satisfy or fulfill our desires, and they can be fulfilled, is taken as self-evident. Okay, so scarcity itself is built on, so the assumption about scarcity are two. On the factual level, there is a scarcity. And the second is, must be overcome. And I guess there is at least implicit or tacit assumption that it can be overcome. Or even if it cannot be overcome, we are somehow compelled to engage in this impossible task. Okay. Now about desires, there are similar assumptions. So what are the assumptions about desires are that desires are actually infinite or unlimited. Because you can just keep creating new desires, and the desires can be fulfilled, should be fulfilled. And the rationality behind it is that it is rational. To dedicate the self, society, and state for this purpose, the purpose of creating an individuality whose dominant purpose is to fulfill their desire to create a society in which an individuality can prosper any state which provide justification, legitimation, and support for the fulfillment and flourishing of such a lifestyle or such a life world and such a society. It is rational. And it is irrational to suppress, limit your desires and to limit your choice, because the practical implication of this search is to increase the ambit or axis of choice, increase the area in which you can fulfill your choice, in the sense that you can choose whatever you want and you are able to actually fulfill that choice, or to practice that choice, or you choose something. So the area in which you can choose, or your choice can become reality, you are increasing that area, and the choices themselves are increasing as well, and yourself is dedicated to that, and your society is dedicated to that, and your state is dedicated to that. That is all rational, and it is irrational to try to limit any of these pursuits. And basically, choices are arbitrary in the sense that there's no intrinsic limits on choices. The limits on choices are only of two types or three types. Factual limits. Now, factual limits are the resource limits, and so that's the limit. And other factual limit is the fact that you choose something, that is contingent as well. And the only moral limit, I guess, is that you don't interfere in the similar choice or similar right of another individual. And it is also, I guess it is also rational to try to expand choices. So that's something intrinsically good, etc. Okay, so I think that's what capitalism is. So capitalism is a system which dedicates itself for accumulation for the sake of accumulation. It is built on the idea of scarcity. It is built on the idea of overcoming scarcity. It is built on the idea of fulfilling your desires, multiplying them, increasing your choices. That's something good in itself. and there are no intrinsic limits on your desire except the factual limits of scarcity which you are dedicated to overcoming, and any other actual intrinsic limit you can legitimately have on your choices if it contradicts or interfere with the similar choice of another person. So we are dedicated to creating a society in which more and more people can choose more and more and fulfill their choices more and more. So that's the ethically superior society, ethically good society, and the mechanism to do that is, capitalism in the sense of an economic system with all its social and moral and state level institutions and all that. So I think that's what capitalism is. So we'll stop here and continue from here, inshallah. Probably it will take 4 or 5 sessions to completely answer the question or the questions with which we started. Okay.